Am I the asshole for not accepting water from a woman who happened to be a Muslim? This is not a hate post. I was traveling with my friend on a bus and happened to ask her for some water, but she didn't have any. A woman in her 30s wearing a hijab offered me her bottle, but I refused because she's a stranger. As simple as that, no mention of religion or anything. As soon as I refused, she said, "But you just said you're thirsty." I politely replied that yes, but you're a stranger, hence. She was quick to reply with, "Is it because of my religion?" I said no, it's not, it's only because I don't know you and if it's safe. But she kept on insisting, saying it's safe to drink it and I should take it. I said no again. She scoffed and said something under her breath about me being racist. I had enough and told her to shut it and I don't want her water. A few other passengers noticed and one of them, a young guy, commented something hurtful to her religion which I'll not quote, but the woman was noticeably taken aback and got down at the next stop itself, and I feel this fiasco will play in her mind for a while, which is not good, and I should have just accepted the water as a comeback to the guy who commented. So am I the asshole? Edit, it was a pink opaque bottle.
Here's the next story that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
Am I the asshole for defending my daughter's comments towards my other daughter being single? My daughter, 17 female, Emily, has been dating this boy, 17 male, Zach, for around 2–2.5 months now, and he recently came to visit us, and this is the first time he has came over for dinner, and this is Emily's first BF. Zach is a very lovely boy and very outgoing. When he came in and saw me, he says, "Emily, I didn't know you have 2 sisters." I laughed, as even though it's cliché, I know he's trying to be nice. The entire time at dinner he was very polite, but he is also a very outgoing kid. He would say stuff such as, "What a lovely dinner, this food is great, your backyard is beautiful," etc., etc. So while you could say he was trying to be overly polite, he was still a very sweet and kind kid. Emily is a more shy and reserved person, so I felt they were really great for each other. Emily is also very sweet and positive, another thing they have in common that I appreciated. My husband also hit it off with him and they were engaging in sports banter, and eventually came to trash talking some football team owner. My older daughter, Amy, 19, however, kept grilling the poor guy. Asking if he would pay for dates, to which he said yeah. And then she asks how he has money, and he said his job. Then she started talking about making time for Emily, in between school friends and a job. Then it came on to how they would get to dates and she started asking him about his license. She then started to ask about protecting her, making comments on his stature. He's on the shorter side and kind of chubby, like 5 feet 7 inches and maybe a little overweight, nothing crazy however, and he seemed to be getting uncomfortable, so I brought out dessert, which he again complimented, and my husband brought up sports to change topics. After he left I asked her why she would do that. She said that he seemed too nice, and cliché, as if he was faking it. I said, so people can't be nice these days? You made it weird for him and Emily. Emily didn't deserve that, neither did he. She said that she just didn't like that vibe, as no one is that nice or positive, it was definitely forced. Emily butted in and said that she really didn't appreciate that and said that Amy's reasoning didn't make sense. Amy said that she didn't care if it was awkward, as she wanted to grill him, and that she doesn't like him because he seemed fake. Emily said that Amy was messed up, and I agreed. Amy then said that he was some dumb weak kid faking being nice, and this upset Emily and me. Emily then said in a fuss, "You only say that because you're single and no one will date you." She has been slightly sensitive about this as she hasn't been in a committed relationship yet. This upset Amy, and Amy asked why I didn't say anything or stop her from going to her room. I said that she just insulted her BF and that she deserved it. She told me I should punish her and was being a bad parent, and now Amy isn't talking to me, and I feel that maybe a personal insult like that was too far.
Here's the next story that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
Am I the asshole H for not allowing in-laws to be present on Christmas morning while our kids open gifts? Me, 28F, and my husband, 27M, disagree on how we should handle Christmas mornings. For perspective, I am an only child. Christmas morning was always done at home with my parents, and after opening gifts, we'd head over to my grandparents to celebrate with them. They all still live local. My husband is the middle of three, and they often had family that lived out of state. So Christmas morning was sometimes at their home, sometimes at a grandparent's out of state, etc. We alternate our holidays between Christmas and Thanksgiving with our families. Before having kids, we'd stay with them for a week or long weekend over Christmas. After having kids, I want to be home for Christmas morning, and then spend the rest of the day with my family or his family depending on year. Our kids are still young, 2, 1, but it is still such a special moment for me and I want it to be sacred and intimate amongst the four of us. We only get so many years of little kids on Christmas morning and I want to soak up every single moment. His parents live 3 hours away and are having his siblings come the 22nd to 30th. No one else has kids yet. I told my husband that we should have our kids open up presents on Christmas morning, and then make the drive to their place shortly after. He is calling me selfish and inconsiderate of his parents' feelings because it would mean the world to them to watch the grandkids open presents from Santa. His mom has made comments in the past how Santa would always travel for them wherever they went, being passive-aggressive towards my feelings on it. We had the same argument last year. I told my husband that they had their turn with their own kids, and this is now about us and our children. I still want to see and celebrate with his family, but only after we have Christmas just the four of us on that morning. Am I being unreasonable? TLDR, husband thinks we shouldn't exclude his family from watching the kids open presents on Christmas morning, and I want that moment to be intimate to the four of us only, then head to his family after. Edit. I would be totally fine if grandparents wanted to come here for Christmas, but they already made plans to host at their house with everyone, so we will be traveling to them regardless and staying with them for several days. I just requested that we watch the kids open presents from us in our home and experience Christmas morning just the four of us first before heading over to his parents. Kids will have presents to open at grandparents too. We all exchange gifts with extended family as well.
If you thought that was crazy, wait until you hear this next one.
Am I the asshole H for refusing to let my mom's boyfriend walk me down the aisle? I, 24F, am getting married next summer, and ever since I started planning the wedding, my mom, 48F, has been pushing for her boyfriend, 50M, to walk me down the aisle. My dad passed away when I was 10, and my mom started dating her boyfriend about 6 years ago. While he's always been nice to me, I've never seen him as a father figure. He came into my life when I was already an adult, and we're friendly but not particularly close. I told my mom that I plan to walk myself down the aisle as a way to honor my independence and my dad's memory. She got really upset, saying her boyfriend has earned the spot by being there for me all these years. She even accused me of disrespecting her relationship and trying to erase my dad, which couldn't be further from the truth. Now her boyfriend is avoiding me, and my mom keeps calling me selfish and saying I'm ruining the wedding before it even starts. A few family members are also weighing in, saying I should let him do it to keep the peace. But this is my wedding, and I feel like I should have the final say. Am I the asshole H?
If you thought that was crazy, wait until you hear this next one.
Am I the asshole? Won't let my sister-in-law use my work laptop. Okay, so my sister-in-law is staying with my husband and I for a couple weeks. She is going to be house-sitting for us to watch our cat while we go visit my family. She asked if she could come a few days before and stay a few days after we get back. Which I guess isn't relevant, but it is a combo of doing us a favor and us doing her a favor too, considering we live in a one-bedroom small apartment. I work from home and only have a laptop that is property of the company I work for. She keeps asking to use it to watch YouTube videos, etc. She is not very good with computers. I cannot risk letting her use my work computer while I am not home visiting family. I do not use the computer for personal needs, as I mentioned it's property of my company's. I put a password on it and have made it clear it's not for pleasure, it is my work. I have very important stuff on the computer too. My husband thinks I'm being extreme, but I do not feel comfortable with her using my work computer. Am I the asshole?
If you thought that was crazy, wait until you hear this next one.
Am I the asshole for asking wife's best friend to move out of our home? Please God, tell me I'm not crazy with this. A month ago my wife asked if her best friend could move in with us as she just recently asked for a divorce from her husband. I expected this to be a short-term thing. My wife is now saying that her friend will be staying permanently and would like to pay us rent. I said absolutely not, and the whole thing has blown up between us. This is the first time my wife and I have fought like this in 10 years. For additional background, we have 2 bedrooms in our house. I used to sleep in the guest bedroom 2 to 3 times a week, as I am an extremely light sleeper and don't feel rested often after sleeping in the same room as my wife. This room has been used by her best friend now for over a month and I never feel rested anymore. Additionally, her friend keeps having her friend stay overnight in our guest room. I don't even know these people and I wake up to them in my house. My wife and I have also fought a ton over this. I'm at the point I'm about to say they need to just go get an apartment together because my health is being affected. Am I crazy? I'm so tired, I feel like I can't process this correctly, but I just don't feel comfortable in my own home anymore and I'm so tired of it.
Here's the next story that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
Am I the asshole? Won't pay for all my mom's guests at my wedding. I am planning my wedding with a budget for 200 people. At the beginning of the planning process, I told my parents that they could invite 20 guests each. If they wanted to invite more than 20 guests, they would have to cover the costs of any additional guests, roughly $150 per head. My mom ended up inviting 50 guests, meaning I would cover the costs for 20 of her guests, but she would have to cover the costs for 30 of her guests. The vendor payments are now due and she is refusing to cover her costs. She is playing the victim and has said the following things. 1. She can't afford to pay as agreed. 2. She will ask each of her 30 extra guests to cover their own costs. 3. She does not think she will enjoy the wedding, so I should remove her and her guests from the guest list. 4. She is seeking a loan from the bank to pay for those costs. 5. I have killed all her excitement and spirit. I am really at a loss here. Our budget has already gone way over and I can't stretch myself to cover these unexpected costs.
Alright, let's dive into the next story and see what else Reddit has in store for us.
Am I the asshole for not caring that my ex has cancer? I, 27F, had my first relationship right after graduating high school and it lasted for 4 years. I was a straight-laced, shy and super socially awkward kid. I made friends with a guy in my class who was practically the opposite of me. Outgoing, liked to party, take lots of risks, and overall wanted to have a good time and didn't take anything too seriously. We dated for 4 years. We honestly should have never dated. It was train wreck of a relationship. One of my deal breakers was smoking. For personal reasons I didn't want to deal with it in regards to so. He however told me he didn't smoke, only for me to find out he did. Now you probably are wondering why I never just left. You see, that was where the begging, crying and promising to change part came in. Which gullible me would give in and say okay to every time. He just continued to lie throughout the relationship, and it wasn't just for smoking, but many other things. I found out he was telling everyone I was some gold digger despite me paying for 70% of our dates and things while he crashed in my place. He did not respect a no in terms of intimacy. Told me he almost cheated on me. He was never reliable or on time to anything. Being with him made me into the ugliest version of myself. Anyways, eventually after 4 years he dumped me. Claimed he hated me and was embarrassed to be seen with me. It is what it is. I was heartbroken for a bit. 4 years of a fairly manipulative relationship kinda took its toll on me, and I was probably fairly attached to him. I had entered my young adulthood with no sense of identity either and never took the chance to explore and develop myself. 9 months later he messaged me on my birthday. All he had to say was, "I know there's nothing to be happy about RN, but happy birthday." At that point something clicked. I was low-key flourishing during lockdown, so he could speak for himself. I messaged him to delete my number and proceeded to block him on everything. Figured that bridge was burned, time to move on. I don't want to bring baggage into any new friendships/relationships. 5 years later. I am happy, pretty content when out of nowhere my best friend messages me saying my ex reached out to her. He claimed he wanted her to give me a letter since he assumed I was still mad at him. He claimed he wanted to thank me for a lot of things, but to also invite me to his funeral if I would go because he was dying from stage 3 cancer. Well, my response to my friend was, "What's any of that gotta do with me?" She was a little surprised. Said sure he never treated me well, but that what he was going through was awful. Others shared a similar sentiment. Don't get me wrong. What he is going through is devastating, but it literally does not impact my life. My circle is small, but I am a ride or die for those people in that circle, and he removed himself long ago. I gave him my email for the letter. Should I have more empathy, or am I a jaded asshole?
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wild stories. Have a fantastic day, and see you next time. Ooh, ah, ah.